How's it going, guys? Today I'm doing another radio adventure. Today I'm going to be changing out the fan on my stock radio for the FRS. This is the culprit here, being a little bit too noisy for my liking. So what we're going to do is we're going to dismantle the casing for this radio unit, and we're going to put in this little tiny Noctua fan, or at least we're going to attempt to. It's a little bit bigger than the factory fan. This is a 35 millimeter, I believe, and I bought a 40 millimeter because this is the smallest Noctua fan I could find. It's got different adapters for different styles of plug, because it comes wired up as a 3-pin for a fan speed controller, but this does not have that, obviously. So we're gonna see if this 2-pin adapter will work, and if not, then worst case they've included a splicing kit so I can adapt it to the plug for the factory fan. So I think first thing I'm gonna try and do is I'm gonna take off the brackets here, and then from there we're gonna work on slowly removing the faceplate, and then from there, you know, it's just a matter of taking off all these little screws all around and carefully prying to get at this guy. Now, why am I doing this? Well, from what I've heard and researched, it is extremely difficult and not very cost effective if you want to run an aftermarket head unit, because of how it's wired up in the back. You would need quite a few adapters to work with the Toyota end and the Subaru end in order to get the factory amp working. And at that point you might as well just buy a aftermarket amp, because all the adapters are going to outweigh any cost benefit of doing this. You know, this fan was $40. Aftermarket head unit is like, you know, on a good day $80 on Marketplace, but then you got to buy all that stuff, and then you're into it for another factory head unit. And I do see the Scion touchscreen head units come up once in a while, but I don't really want a touchscreen in my car. I really like the orange lighting that this has at night, and it's really simple to use. You know, it's a basic Pioneer unit. It just does what I need it to do. It does in-car calling, does CDs, Bluetooth, iPod. You know, it's got big buttons right here: call, end call. It's so simple, you know? So I really like the look of it and the functionality, and I want to keep it as much as I can for as long as I can. And I think, you know, the only complaint I have is the fan. So, you know, hopefully, I've already plugged this into my computer fan controller, and it's really quiet even at full tilt. So I think the Amazon reviews of people getting, you know, really loud ones, it's just bad batch or something like that. This fan actually would have cost the exact same to get over here from China. So yeah, you know, 40 bucks. This is the most cost-effective way I can think of to keep this radio, because good luck finding an FRS in a yard like a Kenny U-Pull or something. There's no stock for these cars. Yeah, so I'm gonna cut back to, once I've got this worked out a little bit, how I'm gonna open this up, and yeah, stay tuned. All right, so here's where we're at right now. The faceplate was probably the hardest part to take off, because you got to be so careful not to break any of these locking tabs, and I did have to dual wield some very small screwdrivers here in order to slowly pry around the edges and on the corners. I have the bracket's off, the top plate off, and the back plate off. The faceplate is held on with this little tiny ribbon cable, which looks so fragile. I actually want to see if maybe I can get away with just hanging it loose like this while I take out the screws for the main housing here so I can access the fan. But I'm gonna go and do some research on the internet briefly and see if maybe there's a way I can gently take it off with a small screwdriver, this ribbon cable, just so the faceplate is out of the way of harm and damage. But yeah, a lot more going on in this radio than I previously expected. Okay, so I got the faceplate off just by working at this little black retainer, and then the ribbon cable came out. I thought I broke it because there's no connector. And then there was 6 screws, 2 behind the faceplate at the bottom, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 screws that you got to pull out. A magnetic screwdriver is very much recommended. And then if I put you down here, this whole tray upper deck just lifts off like that, but there's a ribbon cable inside of here that I don't know if I can get a good angle of. Yeah, right there. That connects the CD drive to the main board. And that one's pretty short. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get at that fan. It's kind of like a tease. It's right there, but I don't want to let that ribbon cable stretch where it is. So, and then there's also the little antenna for, I'm assuming, the Bluetooth radio receiver at the front, but I guess I could just take the receiver out. So I'm going to cut back once I figure this out a little bit, but I just wanted to show you guys some more progress here. Alright, so here's the little fan. This connector I do not have a adapter for. As you can see, here's the size comparison between the adapter and the actual fan. Quite the difference. I didn't end up unplugging the ribbon cable. I just kind of laid it down flat like that because I didn't want to break it. It's looking like I'm going to have to use this splicing kit and chop the connector off of this fan because yeah, it doesn't look like there's any other way. There's where the fan plugs in, that little white head down there near the capacitors. So yeah, that's where I'm at right now. I want to see if I can get footage of how loud this thing is before I go and completely destroy it. Just so I can give you guys an idea of the sound that this thing makes. If not, though, there's a lot of videos on YouTube of people with similar problems like this, and it's unbearable how loud this thing gets once the bearing fails. Like, I can't even... It's horrible. Okay, so the fan was a little bit too big, so I won't be putting any screws in to mount it, unfortunately, but it's wedged in there pretty good. I did have to trim a tab off that's designed to hold the original 35mm in place. And then for the adaption, so here's the original 2-pin. They include these Scotch tab Omni join connectors. You just shove both ends in there and it splices in with a pressure clamp. And then you plug this end into the 3-pin connector for the fan, and it adapts it to a 2-pin connector. So I'm just gonna plug this in like so. There we are. And then we're gonna... Now the only trouble I have here is there's like 20 centimeters of frickin' cable coming off of this frickin' fan that I don't need. But I don't want to cut it because I don't want to splice. Okay. Give me... Back you go. There. There we go. Grab my little screwdriver. Give her a little push, and she's in. Alright, so we're just gonna do some hack job, whack job, cable management right here. Kind of shoved in like that. That looks like crap. Oh, but what are you gonna do? Right? What are you gonna do? So there you go. My fan's in. Now I get to undergo the labor-intensive process of putting this hunk of junk back together. See if this fan even will work. Unfortunately, when I was trying to strip off some coating to get this fan testable with a 9-volt, I pulled the negative cable right off the board. So yeah, I don't get to show you guys how loud this fan is. But if you look it up, Scion FRS or Subaru BRZ noisy head unit, or noisy fan for head unit, you'll find a video of how annoying this thing gets for how small it is. So when I cut back, hopefully I'll have a reassembled radio and we can plug it back into the car and test it out. Alright, radio's back together, ready to go into the car. There's our Noctua fan. Nothing broke, like I hoped. Awesome. Let's go test it out. Alright. So we got the radio plugged in. Now let's see if it works. Okay. So the radio works. I don't see that fan going, unfortunately. That's weird. That's really strange. I wonder why that is. Why doesn't it I did everything it asked. I don't know. That's a mystery to me. But hey, at least I put it all back together and it works, right? I'm not without a radio. Just very strange that now the fan doesn't turn on. but I could be mistaken as to how it operates. Maybe it's like a thermostat activated fan where the device has to reach like a certain internal temperature before the fan kicks on. I really am not sure, but I'm just happy that the radio isn't bricked after that install and having the radio half apart. But if you guys are interested in replacing that fan, that's how you do it. I did test that fan out before I put it in anything. The fan is confirmed working, so I know I don't have a defective fan. But yeah, I guess if the radio ever glows, I'll let you guys know. Putting the faceplate back on. And there you go. Like nothing ever happened. So that's my little project. I wish I had more video proof to show you guys that it works, but car's on a battery tender. I'm not going to sit here for an hour playing around with the radio till it comes on. Yeah, I hope you guys found this a little bit informative. Stay tuned for more projects with Valerie.